Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 4 versus 4 on Twin Cities, and I'm going to be playing with the 8th US Infantry Division. As you can see, I've got a Cobra out here at the start, and today's plan was to really try and utilize these around the high-rise buildings and see how I could get on with them. So these AH-1F Cobras are very nice because they are fantastic for destroying infantry with those rockets, those Hydra rockets that they get. So I wanted to test really how effective a helicopter could be amongst these high rises and whether or not changing altitude would allow them to avoid being shot down by aircraft and also AA, whilst also being able to attack enemy infantry at the same time. So I'm getting off to the start here with a couple of Jäger, which are going to be my recon infantry that are heading further up to get me a good position into the city. Then I have a bunch of Stinger squads that are going to be coming up and taking all these high rises to provide myself with the Manpad AA. And I've also got some Toad 2s. Now I've talked about on this map before about how good HGMs are in these buildings because they have fantastic line of sight whilst also being quite resilient. And, well, that's the first of potentially many kills you're going to be seeing today with the Toad 2. Poor little Jeep there getting sniped out. Now, the enemy team are up to the +7 early on. So we are going to have to get command vehicles in. I actually didn't purchase a command from the start, so I didn't capture my back sector. And I'm not contesting the cities just yet. But it is on its way. So hopefully we'll be able to sort out this +5 soon. I did really want to try out Twin Cities on a 4v4 because I thought that the map actually really can suit it pretty well. You can have one person in the city on the right, you can have one person contesting Golf, one person contesting Charlie, and one person contesting Bravo. But as you can see, Joff opted to go into the center city, so technically Charlie isn't contested, which is going to affect things later on. But yeah, overall, I think that this map can actually really suit a 4v4, which is cool. 3v3 is also very interesting, but I feel like it really throws the map off balance because of the 4 sectors in the middle. Regardless, we have managed to capture Juliet, and of course all I needed to do was just drive through the sector, which was very nice. The smaller the sector, the faster it is to capture, so I didn't have to stop there for a second in order to capture that at all. And again, just a reminder for those of you who might not know, in WARNO these days you don't have to have a command vehicle stay in a sector in order to capture it anymore. You only need to leave a command vehicle in a sector if it's contested to stop the enemy unit from capturing it themselves. So as you can see here, we're doing that with the MUT CP. I do have a bunch of Heimatschützen on the way and also some M113A2 supply vehicles. Now, also whilst I was talking about other stuff, a bunch of my mechanized rifles got into position here. Mechanized rifles, really nice for this sort of terrain because they have a Dragon 2, which they can utilize from the high-rise buildings, as well as their multiple machine guns. So they get 3 M249s, so great long-range capability for those mechanized rifles. I've got some engineers that deployed a little bit further forwards. And all of my mechanized rifles came in the M113A3s, which is why they took a little bit longer to get to the front line. So now the engagements begin as my opponent shows his infantry. Aufpraller, 50 cows, going to be opening up. And we've got the mechanized rifles firing their Dragon through the city, blowing up the SPW 152K. My Cobra. I'm going to be lowering the altitude so it's even lower than the top of the high rise, and it's just blasting away with its rockets onto the KDA-Schützen that took up position on top of that building. We wiped out one squad, I believe, the second squad just about surviving. And now I'm going to land, and it's landed between the buildings. How cool is that? We're going to get it resupplied, and it's going to take off again and get more rockets downrange. Meanwhile, destroying that building. Look at that. Those KDA shits are really not having a fun time and being finished off by the 50 cals of the M113s. So I'm moving my Stingers forwards. I got my TOW 2 still in good position here. BTR showing itself briefly. TOW 2 able to finish that off. And now my HIMARS, my engineers, going to continue to press forwards. Since I did manage to take out the 2 units of KDA Schützen, I thought I'd have a good chance of taking some ground here, so I have decided to move forwards, but my opponent also going to be opting to bring in the Mi-8. That's going to be absolutely slapping my engineers. An incredible view. Now my HIMARS here getting hit as well because they're in one of the tallest high-rises. And now I'm going to be bringing in an F-111F. And this has laser-guided bombs. So we're going to be testing how useful these are. These aren't very big laser-guided bombs. I think they're the smaller ones. Not as good as the Nighthawk. But we're going to be opting to aim for the Modschützen here. And, well, didn't really do too much, and I got hit by AA. So, going to be leaving the area with the F-111, the GBU-12, letting me down a little bit there. Mi-8 wasting its rockets onto the M113, that's absolutely fine. Absolutely going to work on that, but the armor saving it there for the time being. However, the HIMARS, they're going to have to get out the building as they come under fire. I'm really trying to get my Stingers into a position to shoot this down, but it's proving quite difficult. And the only one that can fire is the one on the right, and it keeps missing. So we're just going to wait for that to try and hit its mark. And finally managed to get a hit there. I'm going to have to pull back this Stinger unit because it was being hit by the AGS-17s. Those are grenade launchers. Now I would suspect that grenade launchers could be pretty good in this scenario, but Stinger there, finding its way through the buildings, does finally shoot down the Mi-8, so we get rid of that one. And my HIMARS, supported by the 50 cal, is going to be able to continue their engagement with fresh KDA Schützen that have now arrived in the town. All these HIMARS getting hit between the buildings. Really not lasting very long. Another Mi-8 causing me problems now. All my Unimog's going to be leaving. I've got a couple engineers back here. I didn't take off my H1F just yet because I was very busy microing all of this infantry on the front line just to try and not lose as much as possible and get them back potentially to repair and rearm, or reman I should say. So you can see my M113A2 supply vehicle moving up, and I'm trying to get my engineers and HIMARS back. This time the Mi-8 goes down nice and easy as the Stingers manage to take it out. I think in this situation he's not getting very good use out of his helicopters because we've got on the forward side of the city, so he's actually quite open to those man pads, whereas if I have my Cobra hanging around in the middle of the city, then I can actually make use of the high rise quite well in order to cover it from enemy man pads. But you can see all the 50 cals here constantly firing, providing great fire onto these buildings. You can hear the AH-1F taking off again. It's going to be able to get some more rockets on target there onto the KDA Schützen on top of that building. Watching these AH-1F Cobras fight in the town or in the city, it's really, really awesome. I really need to break the habit of calling these towns because I've been playing Eugen games for so long and we've never had a city in the game, and it's just great that we finally do. Anyway, Joff's doing a good job of holding the middle town, but unfortunately it's giving away the Charlie sector. Yagsaw's had a real hard time up on the left side. against Q2521, one of the best players of the game right now. I think he's like rank 4 on the leaderboard, so that is fair enough. He's also using a very strong division, the 79th, and he's up against Yag's Territorial Commando Sud, which its best tank is an M48, so yeah, unfortunately, like, Yag's having a bit of a hard time. But alas, my plan, with the left side kind of falling, was to breach through the city and kind of offset the loss on the left side. My player on my right, Air Flask, has done a great job of capturing this sector, whatever it is called, Golf. There it is. So yeah, great job by him to secure that. I've just got to make sure that I secure the city, and so far so good. Dropped off some rockets on them. I landed the H1F Cobra. We're going to be going again with that. The nice thing about having the H1F Cobra here, check out the line of sight there with those rockets. Rockets are so good for dealing with these. It takes a little while to actually hit the mark properly, but you can see as soon as those H1F Cobras start to take effect, the infantry gets chipped very quickly indeed. There's Mod Schützen there, for example, getting smashed to bits, as a second H1F Cobra has now joined the party. And I've also brought in a Hempt to give me some supply. Now these come in with 2,500 supply, but what I didn't realise is how fast these Hydra 70 rockets use up supply. So if you're going to do this strategy, do bear that in mind. The other amusing thing that happened here was I'm on the ground, we're landed, but because I'm constantly resupplying the rockets and they're in line of the KDA Schützen on this building, it's able to just keep firing. And I kind of noticed that it wasn't doing too much damage, so probably wasn't the best move in the end. It was kind of just funny to watch. I think because it's using up its ammo and then re-aiming every time with the rockets, it loses the accuracy that it had before. So when units fire, over time, they gain accuracy. And if a rocket, like in this case, is firing off, 38 in a row towards the KDA Schützen, then that works out quite nicely. Because every rocket's getting more and more accurate. Whereas with the one on the ground, because it's only firing like 3 or 4, it's like inaccurate, and then like it's reloading, and then it's inaccurate again. So I don't actually think that's like it's really a viable strategy to be landed while using the rockets, but it was fun to see. E62 also now getting smashed by rockets. O2 coming in to finish it off. Nice kill there. But again, these TOW2s from the high rises doing a fantastic job, and the TOW2 I think is the best penetration HGM in the game right now. So very, very strong. Now on the left hand side, I did manage to sneak forwards with some M1A1s. And we're going to be engaging the T62 and T80 as they push forwards. I'm just trying to help Yarg stabilize on the left hand side with these tanks, but I ended up trading the M1A1 that I had on the right side. The reason I had them on two sides there was just so I could get potential side shots easier. IMAT's going to be firing from the building there. T62, not happy with that. Going to be firing back. Really like the sounds on the T62s. Like, well, all of the Soviet machine guns now sound really cool. All the rockets and tracers flying around all over the place is very cool. Now, since Yagd has lost a lot of ground on the left-hand side and he can't really continue to hold against Q, he has sent some of his infantry over to me. Some of these pioneers with the hand flampatron, which are going to be useful for dealing with some of this infantry. Yeah, my plan was just to break through here and control the city entirely on the right-hand side, set up a really nice defensive position, so that then I can focus elsewhere on the map and help my team out. But at the moment, obviously, things are taking a little while. So I've got more engineers on the way in these M113s. TOW2 flying off into the distance there. Broke its cable, I suppose. Off into the stratosphere. Yeah, so another Hempt on the way, since I did use up the Hempt that was resupplying the Cobras. I'm not sure if this is like the best use of supply, honestly. Like, it's nice to have the Cobras, and they do a lot of damage against the infantry, but keeping my infantry resupplied would probably be a better bet, generally speaking. H1F Cobra again firing from the ground. This time around, it was fully loaded before it started firing, which is why the accuracy is okay. But as it starts to reload, you'll see that it stops doing damage. In this case, I turn it off on purpose, just to make sure that I get the rockets reloaded fully, and then I'm going to take it off and start firing. And that way we get more damage. So I did realize mid-game that firing from the ground, if you don't have a full rack of rockets, isn't really a good idea. Also, only one side of the helicopter was firing, because only the right rocket pods were actually in line of sight of that building, so it would have been better for me to take it off in this case and get all of the rockets on target. So still trying to make ground engineers moving backwards and forwards between these buildings, and you can see they're all turning into absolute charred wrecks as the engagement continues on this side of the city. A brutal battle continuing. Unfortunately, my AH-1F Cobra there, look at that. Awesome crash there over the building as it gets shot out the sky by enemy AA. Now, you might be wondering why I've got attack orders going backwards and forwards with the M113s. It's not to make the game look like SimCity. It's mainly because I want to see if I can get my 50 cals into line of sight of these buildings without moving further forwards. So I've also got the M7 or M728 CEV in here. This thing is really, really good for dealing with infantry, because not only it has a 50 cal, it also has its 165mm gun, which has 3.2 HE, which is really, really strong at taking infantry out of buildings. So these CEVs, definitely recommend them. Any tanks like it in any other divisions that have these HE guns, super good right now for dealing with these city buildings. So do bear that in mind. So mechanized rifles, Heimatz, Jaeger, engineers, all pushing forwards right now. Plethora of infantry. Nice bombing strike actually coming in here from the F4F of Jagd. It's going to be cleaning some of those out. Pretty important bombing strikes here, just because they clean out the buildings that I'm having trouble getting through. Like, it's basically just speeding up the process. And if I can safely sit in the high-rise buildings on the far side of the city, then I can get my TOW2 forwards and I can get my Stingers forwards, and then our opponents are really in trouble, because from those positions my TOW2s are going to be able to project a lot of damage quite far out. So CEVs here, you can see, are going to be engaging the Panzerjägers in every shot, dealing damage, which is nice. Mudschützen taking the last of the rockets from the AH-1F Cobra. It was very tempting to move this up, but generally a bad idea, because I saw one of my AH-1F Cobras get shot down before, and there we go. Manpads coming in there, causing him to almost fly straight into the high-rise. It would be pretty awesome if they could like crash into the side of the high-rises. Anyway, a couple of Mi-8s did come in, and I moved up my chaparrals to take them out. So both of those go down. The chaparral's taking up position here, as you can see, in the sports field. Currently out of ammo. Gonna have to resupply those. But the battle continues. as my opponent continues to bring up more KDA Schützen. KDA Schützen really not as effective as they once were, because they are now technically reserve troops. So unless you have a military police unit with them, they're not going to be that effective. And since they haven't been added to the game yet for the pack side, they will be in the future. They will be much better when those arrive. Until then, yeah, they're going to struggle. Nice bombing strike again, though. Unfortunately, Yag losing the bomber this time to the book. This book sitting on the coast of the lake. Getting nice damage down. Now, if you ever wonder if something's out of ammo, you can zoom into it. So in this case, the book here, no missiles on it. So, cannot fire, just like my chaparrals here. You can see that it doesn't have any missiles left and is therefore depleted. They're going to be smashing more units with the H1F Cobra. KDA Schützen are meaty squads and take a little while to take care of. The rockets really speed things up. But now, making a lot of ground as my infantry push forwards here through the city. And I'm basically just trying to get as far forwards as possible. Unfortunately, losing my chaparral here to enemy cluster rockets. See the launch system there just flew off it as it got annihilated by that cluster strike. Mi-24 going to be turning up on the left-hand side. Evad's going to be moving up to take that out. So I have now found the contesting command. Those Spetsnaz really not going to last very long. And that is going to be the city finally secure. My opponent put up a great fight here, Truby. Really good job. But with the help of Yag's bombing strikes and a few of his infantry squads, we do manage to get through. Now it's just a matter of getting my infantry into good positions, my recon into the high-rises, my TOW2s into the high-rises, and now we can just kind of hold this position and look elsewhere to try and help if possible. But our opponents are very, very far ahead right now in terms of score, 1,460, but the map has completely turned on its side. So I'm controlling Foxtrot completely, we're controlling Golf completely. We're currently putting pressure into Delta here. Meanwhile, they've taken all of the topside sectors. But honestly, Joff's position in the town, or in the city, sorry, right now in the middle here, if he can get some like HGMs into these high rises, he can cut off the left side of the map from the right, unless they come at us head on. So the only thing really right now is just Airflask needs to be careful of all his M1 Abrams dying, and well, the Su-25s have something to say about that as Q brings them in. Chaparral struggling to shoot down the Mi-24V, not helpful. And well, since we're not really going to be able to take back the left side against two 79th Guards with their T-80UDs, I opted just to straight up attack move out of the city towards Echo. So that's what we're going to be doing now. KDA Schützen going to be arriving on the road here. Unfortunately, not really the place they want to be, especially against multiple M113s, as well as two CEVs. So we got plenty of HE to take these on, as well as the Jaegers. I've got a PVAS there that I can move forwards and use if I wanted to as well. The thing that I'm mainly lacking for my push is tanks, and I'm pretty sure I had some on the way at this point. Yeah, some M1 Abrams, a little squad of them coming to support me down the main road. Also, Yag's going to be bringing up his 6 M48A2s. And yeah, our plan is to just breach Echo and take that, because if we stop them capping it, we get a +2. And then if we take it for ourselves, we get a +4, which would be more than enough to try and win the game back for the team. So pushing very, very hard. The only things I'm really going to be leaving back here are potentially recon or HHMs, but as you can see, like, my HHMs are moving forwards with this force as well, even though they are low on ammo, so I'm going to have to get some supply forwards. But 2 of my hemps now empty, my M113's empty, so some M113A2 supplies on the way. And yeah, actually multiple Abrams coming in here, so we got 7 Abrams coming up. I have bumped into the T-62M here. I'm bringing in the F-111F LGBs once again to drop those laser-guided bombs. Apologies about the camera there. Sometimes it's kind of hard to zoom in on these aircraft. If you're ever wondering how to zoom in on units in the game and track them like I am, the easiest way to do it is by just holding your mouse over something and then using the scroll wheel. And it will just scroll into the unit. And you can watch it fire away. Very cool. Now both my F-111s there, unfortunately dying because there was a book, there was Onosa, there was all sorts of stuff over here that could take them out. And the laser-guided bombs just completely whiffed after that. So, a little bit unfortunate. Artillery still coming in, engineers still pushing forwards, but this is all armoured and they can't do anything about it. But the M1A1 Abrams have arrived, and so have the M48s of Jagd. I've got 4 more coming up in the rear as well, so just hoping to take out the enemy tanks. So I need to take out the T-62, and then we can just focus down all of these BTR 50PKs, and then we can just have the infantry go to work on their infantry, pretty much. So this ridge turning into an absolute fireball as all of the fire comes in from the tanks, setting the ground alight. It's also in part due to the pioneers with their Handflam Patron. Look at this awesome push coming through here. Nice thing about these M1A1s is I can move them on the have them on the move, and they still get 60% accuracy. So I'm just going to be spreading them out and charging them forwards. Reason we're spreading them out, to avoid cluster. Unfortunately, our team did get pushed out of Delta here, and so we're really on a bit of a time limit as we're rushing towards this location. All of the tanks rushing forwards. It's all the M48, so I've got my Abrams moving up, I've got my infantry moving up here as well. The camo actually doing really well here to kind of make it hard to see, but you can see where things are firing from at least. Look at all the smoke there. So as the Su-25AT came in, I smoked off all of my Abrams so that it couldn't get shots on target. Unfortunately, managed to kill 1 or 2 regardless because of sideline of sight provided by the Mutschützen. But I managed to keep the majority alive. Well, 4 of them alive. Bear in mind we started with 7. But 4 is enough. Unfortunately, the time limit's not enough, and it is going to be up as we push through. But yeah, not enough time to really get in the sector and control the game from there. But a really, really fun one. And it allowed me to kind of have a look at how helicopters do. And also, obviously, that end push there was really, really, really fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Q, fantastic KD. One of the best players in the game right now. I managed to go 6,046 kills to 4,575 losses. Air Flask doing pretty well on my left flank as well. Unfortunately pushed out of that sector at the end there. So we did end up losing. But Totu doing fantastically well. Check out this M113. Absolutely slapping the KDA Schützen with its 50 cal. More than likely just claiming like the last 2 kills or something as it continued to fire over time. Because the M113s and the 50 cals in general, they don't really stop firing. So If a unit gets low and then the M113 is the only thing that's still firing at it, then it's always going to get the kill. The H1F Cobra, though, actually doing pretty well for me here. This one took out 2 man-pad squads as well as a bunch of other infantry. So in the end, I would say that generally the H1F was worth it. I don't know if it was worth the supply, though, overall. Totu, again, getting great amount of kills here, securing those roads from the high-rise buildings. The M1A1's coming in at the end to back up that push was very nice indeed, but alas, it was not enough. And there we go. That's where I'll leave it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.